Hi there, I'm Kristine Weber. Welcome to my weekly live stream. I love to share wisdom about from the yoga tradition, and I love to help mature yoga teachers let their wisdom shine as well. So thanks for being here. Please leave a comment. Okay, so today I want to talk about meditation a little bit and some of the research, and then some ways that you could bring meditation into your asana classes if you're teaching asanas. So, excuse me, I'm a yoga teacher. So I teach yoga meditation. And pretty much the keynote or the key feature, you could say, of yoga meditation is mantra. Mantra comes from the word man, which means mind, and tra, which means the liberating force. So the idea of mantra is it helps to liberate the mind. Let's talk a little bit about meditation. Now, there's been a lot of meditation studies. One study I read was about compassion meditation, which tends to come like from the Thich Nhat Hanh or the Theravada Buddhist um, perspective, right? And it's lovely, and certainly there's compassion meditations in, like the Brahma Viharis that come from the Yoga Sutras. Like there's compassionate meditation in the yoga tradition as well. And that study that one particular study I read about compassion showed that it reduced what's called IL-6, which is a pro-inflammatory cytokine, a little bit of protein that it modulates immune system response, and it has an immunosuppressive, or I'm sorry, it has an inflammatory, a pro-inflammatory um, activity, right? So that means it often correlates with stress-induced inflammation. So one study showed that compassion meditation reduces that biomarker, which I think is helpful. That's an interesting thing to realize, that you can use meditation to shift your immune response. There's other studies that have shown that meditation increases the antibodies in the blood, so it's like a strong, increase, has a reaction, or you could say has a positive influence on the immune system. So whatever these studies are showing, many people for thousands of years have been saying how great meditation is, and meditation can be something that can support your immune response. So when you think about what the immune response is and how it functions in us, the immune response is about saying no. It's about boundaries. About that does not belong in my body, right? Get that, whatever antigen it is, get that thing out of my body. That doesn't belong in my body, right? And that's a psychological correlate of that, is that doesn't belong in my mind, or that doesn't belong in my world somehow. It's a boundary issue. The boundaries are very much under the auspices of the heart chakra, according to the yoga tradition, which also makes sense. That's where the thymus gland is. You produce B cells out of your bone marrow, you produce T cells out of your thymus gland, and those cells go out and they're doing the job of protecting. They protect through the lymphatic structures. They protect, through the white blood cells moving through the blood. They protect that, lacerations in the skin, antigens coming in through through breathing. That's their job. Or its job is saying, like, that is not me. And psychologically, the heart chakra says, that is not me, and this is me. Right? This is me. This is something I want, and that's something I don't want. So a lot of times people think the heart chakra is just about love and compassion, and it is about those things. But really, what at the heart of the heart chakra is identity and sense of self. This is where we point when we say me, right? Not in every culture, but in many cultures, we point here, we say me, I. And so the heart chakra is helping us to make that differentiation between what I am and what I'm not. So that has to happen on the biological level, and it also has to happen on the psychological level. And so strong immune system makes a lot of sense. Physiologically, it also is a reflection of the strength of mind to create healthy boundaries, which is certainly one of the you could say it's one of the benefits of meditation practice. Even just like in the even just in the um, act of sitting down to meditate, you're making a boundary because you're saying, I'm not doing something else. I'm not looking on my phone. I'm not answering an email. I'm not talking to anybody. I closing the door. I'm, making space for myself. So even in that very process, you're starting to create a sense of boundaries and identity. Okay, so anyway, I hope that's helpful in terms of thinking of those correlates between the psychological as well as the physiologic. I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It's hard. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to sneeze into the microphone. I'm sorry. Um, okay, so what I want to show you today is how you can bring mantra into your asana class. So what's the correlation here? Well, mantras usually have some kind of a powerful effect on the mind. The one I want to just work with today is the very basic, most basic mantra, Om, right? And Om can be thought of as like the sound of the universe, but it also is it's sort of like a blessing sound. You could think about it that way. And it has an effect in terms of it's stimulating the vagus nerve via the afferents that come out of the medulla here, making that sound. There is some research on humming actually and benefiting the vagus nerve. And of course, there's going to be this intersection with reduced stress and improved immunity. So okay, so Om is the most basic one, and it's a super easy one to weave into asana. So, for example, let's say you are teaching a forward bend, right? So, inhale, arms up, and exhaling into the forward bend, right? For example, that could be an easy pose to add this to. So, the way you would do it is inhale, arms up, and then exhale with a long. Inhale back up again. We'll do it 2 more times. And inhale. Inhale back up. So that's an easy way to bring mantra into asana practice. It's also quite traditional. I was in Bodh Gaya. It was 1994, a long time ago. And Bodh Gaya is the place where it said that Buddha enlightenment. So I was there, and there's Buddhists from all over the world. It's really sometimes people are chanting. Oops, looks like I had a little glitch in my internet. It looks like it's back on. So everything's happening in this video today for some reason. Anyway, so I saw people doing these long prostrations, and there was chanting with them and prayer with them. And actually, from my Indian teachers, they also said it was very traditional to do some kind of a prayer while you're doing movement. So it works really well. It's traditional. It's not something I made up. And it also helps to lengthen the exhale, stimulate the vagus nerve, and install a positive intention. I use the word install, that comes from the EMDR tradition, or the EMDR practices, which is an evidence-based practice for reducing post-traumatic stress. So anyway, there's many different ways that we can use mantra in asana practice. That's just one example. I hope that you'll give it a try. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Take care.